Hi, and welcome to Talkin Sports. My name is Ormie King, and welcome. And our guest today is Fred Richardson, and everyone knows he is a great legend of our community. Chuckles, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'd kind of like to walk you through your life a little bit, and if you could tell us where and when you were born and a little bit about your family, I'd appreciate it. So,
I was born May 31st, 1941 in Auburn, New York, and I lived on Chapman Ave most of my life. I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters. Father was Bert Richardson. I think everybody in Auburn knows him. He was a great bus driver. Started off when it was actually Auburn Transit. My mother Gertrude worked at GE and then later on worked at BTW. Bert, the oldest brother, got me in trouble a couple times. I'll tell you about that later.
No, that would never happen.
And then Sister Sandy was a supervisor at Kodak, and then myself, and then my brother Gordon, which is Bicky, plays sports in Auburn High. The brothers after Sister Cynthia, she's a teacher, a retired teacher out of Seward Elementary, 30-something years in.
Wow.
And then, of course, came Howie, Leroy, and Jeff. So that made 9 of us.
9 of you. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever knew this, but we're kind of attached a little bit. My name is Ormie King, but I had a father, and his name was Ormie King, but he used to peddle mail at your house all the time. And he always talked and raved about your family and how great they were. And as I got married and I had my 4 children, every one of my kids had your dad as a bus driver, and they all had nothing but great things to say. But it's wonderful. You got a great family there.
I'll tell you one little story about my dad. As far as senior citizens would go, I have people that still come to me today and tell me how great my dad was. He would take the senior citizens and drop them off at their house, go off his route to do this.
I believe that. He was that type of guy.
Yeah,
he was that type of guy.
And when he picked up the kids, he had the school run, and I'll tell you, the kids were great with him. He'd have candy for them and everything, and he'd do the same thing to them. Drop them off at their house. Make sure nobody got, if it was raining or stuff, he'd just wait till the parents came to the door or something. Never leave them unattended.
That's wonderful. Isn't your mom, she's still alive,
yeah,
isn't
my mom's 93. She just turned 93 January 1st.
God bless her. Yeah. What did she do mostly in life?
She worked at GE for a little while, and then she ended up putting quite a few years in at BTW as a preschool teacher.
Besides raising 9 children?
9 kids. But
God bless you, Gertrude.
Well, luckily it wasn't all together because we had some spots in there, one left and another.
That's amazing. Yeah. Tell us how you got your nickname. I'm curious about that one.
Well, they tell me I was a little runt. I was real skinny, and my grandfather happened to be at the house one time, and he gives a quart of milk and he says, "I got to chuck it." And so he did that quite a few times, and that name has stuck with me up to today.
Chuckle became Chuckles?
Yeah, Chuck became Chuckles. Chuckle,
Isn't that something?
And it stuck with me. You know, everybody today, the majority of people in Auburn know me by Chuckles.
They probably
in
don't
fact,
know
I'll tell you a little thing out there. When I was working in the Department of Correction, and I actually made superintendent. I was first deputy superintendent. I was working out of Attica. And my friend Watt Kelly was a superintendent. We went in at the same time. They had a big change in Attica at the time. And so he got the call from the commissioner. And the commissioner wants to talk to Chuckles. So Walt didn't really know me that time. He said, "Who the hell is Chuckles?" So that sticks, yeah, very, very,
that's
very
a great
nice
nickname.
So that name is stuck with me, not just in Auburn and in some different parts of the state.
That's wonderful. I had the good fortune of playing football with your brother Bert, and he was just a terrific guy. We had 4 ends on our team. I have to brag a little bit here, but we had a record of 26-0-2, and one of those losses was in Elmira, and it was your brother that saved it, our consecutive streak, because we were playing against Ernie Davis from Elmira, and he was only a sophomore back then. And they were ahead of us, and Bert scored the winning touchdown. My contribution to that game was that they punted to Ernie Davis downfield. Now, I weighed 150 pounds. I think he was about 175 or 180. But anyway, I was the first guy down to meet him. He had the ball, and I wrapped my arm around his leg, but I couldn't get both legs, and he was dragging me down the field, and it took your brother and one other, to the three of us, to bring him down. But we all know that Ernie Davis went on to win 2 Heisman Trophies awards, and I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, but it really bothers me because he was going to be in the backfield with Jim Brown, and what a dynamic duo that would have been. They would have set all kinds of records.
Yeah. All right, talking about Bert, I'll interject something on him. My first 2 jobs with Brother Bert was a paper route. And comes at that time, you had to go to the door and you collect the money at the end of the week.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, we'd end up collecting the money, and because Bert decides, you know, we're not going to take and pay the bill with it. We're going to spend the money all up. so we got help for that, because my dad, of course, they had to come up with the money to pay the paper bill.
I'm sure he's proud of you, Chuck.
Yeah. So actually, he was teaching me some bad habits. So the second time that we went on a job together, I think everybody in Auburn knows high school kids at summertime, they worked at Dickman's.
Oh,
and it was cabbage time, so you went out and cut cabbage.
Wow.
I think we lasted a half day. And Bert said, let's get the hell out of here.
Enough of that.
That's enough of that. So
Enough
that
of that
was 2
stuff.
things I'm working with him. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Where did you first go to grade school? Where was your?
Went to Seward on Swiss Street, the original Seward School.
My old alma mater, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have H. Pearl Gray there when you were there?
Yeah, Gray was there.
She was quite
Clark,
a teacher, wasn't she?
and,
Yeah.
And Donahue.
Oh, yeah.
Donahue.
She was the principal back then. Yeah.
Yes.
And didn't you go to another school as well? I think Genesee.
Well,
or
when Genesee reopened, when they modernized, they put the new Genesee down there because them kids were coming from James Street.
Right.
So after that, part of Chapman Ave, the majority of Chapman Ave, went down to Genesee.
I got you.
And so 5th grade, I went to Genesee.
Genesee.
Yeah.
And from there you went to
well, right across the street to West High.
the West
Old
High,
alma
good old
mater.
West High.
Yes, a lot of great people. Talking sports, a lot of great sports people came out of West.
Could you
And-
mention a
and,
few, or?
Well, yeah, if I go into my thing there. Well, the DeFabios.
Right. They had a lot of good ones.
Yeah. In fact, out of Auburn, a lot of people don't realize how many doctors and lawyers
Yeah.
and came out of Auburn.
They made a hell of a
West High School.
contribution.
Right.
They really did. Yeah.
Everything, right.
Yeah. No question about it. Yeah. How about odd jobs as a kid? Did you have any odd jobs that you used to handle besides the paper route? I mean.
Well, after I turned a certain age, I in the summer, my first job in the summer, I was the camp counselor at YMCA resident camp.
Oh, okay.
It was a Herm Cuffs.
Right.
Yeah, and I did that for 2 summers, and from there I went to the playgrounds, and I was the playground director for about 3 years.
Oh, terrific.
I think 61 was the last year there.
Where were you, at
Yeah.
Harmon or
I was at I started off at Harmon,
Harmon? Yeah.
and then they were having problems at Malone Village.
Okay.
So they kicked me up to
You
Malone
had to do
Village.
both of them?
Yeah, they
Wow.
kicked me up in Malone Village. And then,
Wow.
of course, from there, I went to BTW, starting off as a playground leader. And that job I ended up as doing a full-time job part-time as executive director, ending up at BTW, doing
Okay.
2 jobs at
Right.
the same time. And then on top of that, I ended up doing the Friday night supervisor program for the YMCA.
Oh,
So
that kept you
I was a Friday
hopping.
night- yeah, I kept busy.
Wow, good for you. The question for you, the Booker T. Washington, was that the old one or the new one back then?
That was the old one.
Okay, because
The
my
old-
dad used to take me down there all the You remember Ray Call? Ray Call was like a boxing legend in Auburn, New York. And they used to have bouts down
Right,
there. I
yes,
forget what
they
night,
did.
maybe Friday night. But he went to every one of
Yeah.
them. And then I finally see that they tore that down and created the
That's
new
the
one
new one.
across the street from it,
Yeah,
kind of like.
yeah, the original Booker T was a one-building structure, was like a house in
Right.
the front, and then they built the gym during the world projects. They had World War projects, whatever they call
Yep.
it. They had that, and then from there, they ended up building an addition to the back of that, which took in the preschool and a workshop, and they put a locker room in there.
Oh, great.
And so, and then the new BTW, I was board president at the time, and
Right.
we had gotten the grant, federal grant, from the district at that time was out of Buffalo, and they
Right.
came in and we lucked out and we ended up getting it. And John Critchley, I don't know
Right.
if you remember John Critchley,
I do,
the
yep.
architect. He was the architect of the BTW.
Oh, did a nice job
Yeah,
with it. Yeah, did a nice job with it. That's great. How about some of the sports that you played in high school? You played several, and I know you were very, very good at what you did. So.
I tried.
Well,
I tried.
You did more than try,
good.
Chuckles.
Well, I played all three sports, major sports. I played football,
Right.
and I played basketball, and then I had track. So I was a three sportsman. Football, I had some good times. We had a heck of a coach. I guess everybody knows Bob Dean.
Oh,
you couldn't ask for a better coach.
Everybody knows Bob Dean.
He was a coach's coach.
Yes, he was.
You know, he'd get his point across. But I will say one thing, though. We did have, I don't know how many people really remember Harold Button.
Oh, I
Harold
remember.
Button, the equipment coach. But he would come down, after he did all that, he'd come down to the field. He's the one that would kick you in the butt if you didn't do what you're supposed to do. But we had some good players there. You know, Tony Labisco. We had Billy Reese.
Yep.
And Al Maloney.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know, a
all
couple other
great guys.
Jerry Creon.
Right.
Now, some of these guys people don't remember them. Like Jerry left. I guess he passed away earlier in life.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
You know, and
Yep.
so Nick Guerrera. Remember him?
Another
He was
good
equipment
one.
manager. Yeah, Nick
Oh, yeah.
Guerrera. So that's what I did. And then of course basketball. It was another. It was decent in, and of course I was small. I was only 5'8", if that. And at times I had to play center.
Wow. How much did you weigh back then?
Back then, I approximately 140 pounds.
Wow.
And like I say, in football, I played halfback. You know,
Right.
and you're playing halfback at 140 pounds, even back then.
Yeah, that's,
you know, and
that's
also
punishment.
playing defensive back. You know.
Right.
So I took a hitting. In fact, the last game of the season that I played, 1960. We were over in Ithaca, and I got hit, returned a punt. Punt, and I got hit and dislocated my shoulder.
Wow.
So that's why I say Bob Dean. I'll never forget him. Of course, I had to go to the hospital, but I had to stay overnight. So instead of my parents come up and get me the next morning, Bob Dean come up himself and brought me home.
He was that type of guy.
Yeah,
he
was
really
very,
was.
very nice guy.
Yep.
And basketball, we were fortunate enough too. I had an excellent coach there, Steve Frammel.
Steve was a
Gentleman
very good,
again.
Yep.
You know, they get their points across. You
Yep.
know, you didn't have some of this yelling and stuff that you see some of the coaches do now, even in high school. You know, you didn't get that.
No,
They got their point across in practice, and you know. And again, it was we had good players there. Zink Ledoux, I know everybody knows Zink Ledoux.
Yep.
You know, Bill Reese again,
Yep.
Gus Bell.
Yep.
You know, and
These are all.
Joe Solon. You know, I don't know if people know Joe. Joe moved out of the area.
Yeah, I
quite a
remember
while
Joe
ago.
well.
And you know,
All quality
Frank
people.
Bliss, Bill Angel. Of course, moved from here over to Skinny Atlas.
Yep.
You know, again, nice.
That's great.
Nice guys, all nice guys, and we can do a little hell raising every now and then. And then of course track, which I guess was my best sport, and
You were very, very good at it, let me tell you.
And then again in that, another excellent coach, you know, Ed Blatz. You couldn't ask for a better coach than him. A gentleman, and to go along with that, I want to mention though, Ed Blatz, in addition to that, was the playground supervisor to go around in the blue car to the playgrounds and check everybody out.
Yep.
So these guys you never forget. And of course there, I had an excellent guys team. You know, it's the only sport that's not a fully team sport, because you got a lot of individual sports mixed in with track. And again, the relay team, and I'll mention their names because I think we still hold the record at the high school.
I think
for
you
the
do.
880 relay.
Yep.
Of course then Butch O'Hara, he was the leadoff. Tom Galvelli ran second. And of course the slowest man on the team, and I'm going to mention his name, is Bob Calmary.
Bob is going to sue us.
We got
a lawsuit approaching us now.
Bob, I think, wrote that in his book, and he'll tell you today. They would get the lead, he'd lose the lead. Bob would lose the lead, and then I'd have to make it up, and we'd do it. But again, you couldn't ask for a bunch of other guys that you know played it with.
You play with a lot of talent.
Yeah, a lot of talent.
I'd like to just go back to track, but Auburn's had a lot of great runners over the years, and this gentleman next to me is very, very modest. But probably one of the best that we ever had was Jim McGuire, and he donated to us here at the college all of his trophies, all of his medals that he won, and all his photos. And we have them here, and hopefully we'll catch a picture of that. And just, I can't tell you what a great guy he was, but he beat a world record holder at that time in Philadelphia in a track meet. He ran for both Syracuse and Colgate because he switched schools at one point. But I would say you were probably about that far behind him, Chuckles, and that was it. You were very, very close to him.
Yeah. We used to hear.
We have a real talent here.
We used to hear him, but I never met him in the stadium.
He's a nice guy.
He was very, very, very talented.
Yeah. Any other coaches you'd like to mention, or
that's about the two, because I only played, the
right.
three of them, three major ones.
How about you got a very important date coming up here on May 31st? Could you talk about a little bit about that? I think you know the person that's involved with that date, so you might want to mention.
My wonderful wife Joy.
Okay.
I was going into high school, and actually I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart, Joy.
Right.
And we have our 50th wedding anniversary coming up May 31st of this year.
That's terrific.
Of course, with her, we had our child Dawn.
Right.
We got her. She was 4 months old, and she turned into a very nice young lady. In fact, I remember, Ernie, she used to work down there where you worked at Sears.
Oh,
that was her first job out of high school.
That's right.
When she was working high school, she worked out of Sears.
I tried to get her fired because she knew you, but they wouldn't fire her. They kept her. So.
Well, I told her one thing what to do when she got in there, and believe me, she did it. I told her when you get in there, you learn every job that's there. And she did it, and that gave her a lot of different hours. Because
that's
they
true.
gave her a lot of hours because they could move her around to different areas.
That's great.
And then of course the other we call him our son, Buddy Hardiman. We took him in when he was in 9th grade, and of course everybody knows Hank Vetter. Hank Vetter was probably more responsible for that than bringing him to us, and what a joy that had been. What the years we had him and going to Iowa State. Well, Hank Vetter comes knocking on our door one day. Of course, I was working BTW, and my wife was too, and Buddy used to go, and he was always, waiting for us to open up. We didn't open up till 7 o'clock.
Right.
And he'd always be there after he get out of school, and he was supposed to be staying somewhere else, but we found out for whatever reason it wasn't happening.
Right.
So Hank Vetter must have found out about it. So he comes and knocks on the door one day and said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." And, I'd known him for a while, and he says, "I need you to do me a favor." I said, "Well, if I can." He said, "Well, you know Buddy Hardiman?" I said, "Well, yeah, we know Buddy Hardiman."
Everybody knew Buddy Hardiman.
He says, "Well, is there any way you can take him in?" I said, "Yeah, I only have a 2-bedroom though." He said, "Well, to answer that," he says, "Well, I'll bring you a rollaway."
And he did, probably.
And he
right?
did. Now, the next day there was a rollaway at that house.
Isn't that something?
Rollaway, and we had another room that we could put the rollaway in, and so he had a rollaway in until we moved from Chapman Ave to Thornton Ave.
He's a terrific guy.
Yeah,
we've
had him. He calls us. We're his parents. Even though he has one parents, and he's like he's our son.
Buddy, yeah.
So
Hank's a tremendous guy too. I got to share this with you, but he lived one block over from where we lived, and my daughter Denise was our oldest gal, and she was going to get married, and so on this particular day she had her wedding dress on, and everybody had gone down to church, and we're there, but we're running late, and we know it, and but he offered his limousine to me. He had a limousine, and he said, "Ormie, take this for your daughter's wedding." So I did. And as we went to get into the limousine, I had stepped in the largest pile of dog crap that you could ever imagine. And I almost got it on my daughter's dress, but I'm there on the lawn trying to get it off my foot, and I'm stinking like heck. And to make a long story short, I did the best I could with getting it off my foot, and we continued on. And the wedding went fine, but we still laugh about that. But we wanted to thank Hank Vetter for his generosity. He was a good guy. So.
That was nice you messing his limo up to Ormie,
Oh yeah, well you did have it. It was an old time. It was an old time limo. It wasn't a new one, but it was nice of him to do. So.
I got to tell you one more story about my wife, and Dawn and myself.
Right.
Dawn and I were watching TV one day, and we picked up a movie, around them rental movies. We were going to show it, and it was something that she wanted to see. But it was also playing at the theater.
Right.
And so we told her, asked her if she wanted to go to the movies. And she said, yeah. So she goes in, she gets all dressed up, and she comes out, "We're ready. All right, here we go. Here's the movie." Oh, she wouldn't talk to us for a week.
Oh, God. A lot of fun. What are some of your proudest moments, Chuckles? I'm sure you got so many.
Well, I got so many. Maybe I'll just touch on a couple. I'm proud of my career in the Department of Corrections. I was one of the few in the state that actually made, without a college education, because I didn't.
Right.
I turned down a college offer. I wasn't a school type person.
Not to interrupt you, but before you went to, weren't you with the Auburn Police Department for a short period of time, and then you went from there?
I was proud of that. I was the first black police officer in Auburn since the 1860s. This
Right.
is George Lightfoot, and so that was a long time.
Long time, yeah.
And actually, what happened, I'd taken these exams approximately around the same time.
Mhm.
I'd taken Auburn Police, Corrections, and State Police, and so naturally the Auburn Police called first because before that I was working Columbia Open, then I went GE for
Right.
half a year or whatever, and then I got called. So naturally I took the police job. So I was on a police job approximately a year. Well, actually I left after a year, but I was there a year and I got notified to corrections. And of course, now you got to remember, now we just got married on the 31st of 63.
I'm sure she was very
Right?
happy, I'm sure.
So that's 64, I'm sorry, it's 64, 63 is 64.
Right.
And so I got the call in the mail to report to Greenhaven, was down by, in Stormville, New York, by Poughkeepsie.
Right.
So I opened it up and I said, I got to go, honey. She said, where are you going? I said, I'm switching jobs. And we were just married.
I'm sure she was very proud of you, Chuck.
Yeah, but you know, being a young couple,
Right.
But you can see it worked out well.
Oh,
So
great.
the end result was great. So
Then you end up with Moravia?
I ended up. I'd been all over the state. I worked 7 different facilities.
Wow.
I started off at Greenhaven, come back to Auburn, got a promotion, went down to Sing Sing, come back to Auburn, made lieutenant right in Auburn, went to opened up Watertown, and made captain and deputy superintendent in Watertown. I get a call one day from remember Bill Gard and
Yeah,
and
sure do.
Well, it wasn't
Yeah.
Bill that called me. It was one of the other ones. He called me. He said, I got good news for you and bad news for you. I was working Watertown. He said, what do you want first? I said, well, give me the bad news. He says, well, you're getting transferred.
Yeah.
You know how you say it.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So-
There's only one way to say that.
Right. So I said, geez, no. I said, no, but I got good news. What's the good news? He says the promotion. At that time, they were making what they called first deputy superintendents in the department.
Right.
And so I was one of the first ones that made first deputy superintendent.
Right.
And so I go home and tell her that. And I said, well, the travel distance is going to be approximately the same.
Right.
Little further, but approximately the same. So she said, when you got to go there? I said, next week. So
How did you like cold suppers back then, Charles?
so she got it. Well, yes, but what she did though, anyways, like I said, remember I told you, Buddy, we end up moving on
Right.
Thornton Ave. Well, that came about because we come home one day, Buddy comes home, and Don comes home, and she's packing everything up. And they ask her, said, where are you going? She said, I don't know, but we're moving. so Joe Clare was a mailman.
I know Joe very well.
Joe had the Chapman Ave route.
Right.
And he sees everything out there, and he says, where are you going? She says, I don't know. He says, well, I got some properties for you to look at. And actually, one of the houses we bought was
Right.
a house that he had on 27 Thornton Ave.
Oh, for
And
crying
we
out
stayed
loud.
there for quite a few years.
You
And,
probably know this, but poor Joe, he got hit by a car crossing over to get to Hunter's Diner and
Hunter's-
broke a lot of
yeah.
bones in his body,
Yeah.
for crying out loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So-
wish you well, Joe.
Yeah. But yeah, very nice guy.
Yeah,
Very
he's a
nice
terrific
man.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I had to tell you that little tidbit too.
Joy, then she worked down at Booker T too, didn't she?
Joy was and Joy was a preschool teacher and an afternoon and evening rec leader.
Right.
I was her boss.
Well, there's no question in my
I
mind
was her
about
boss.
that.
I was her boss at work.
Joy, that's very evident, isn't it, that you're his boss?
At work. But I tell you what, you could never sticking up for girls, because she worked mainly a lot with the girls.
Right.
And you would never see anybody as ferocious as sticking up and wanting things for her girls.
Oh, good for her.
Oh boy, she.
Good for
yeah,
her.
she would do that, and not just with me, but anybody else. She,
Yep.
She'd take the guys, and it was the girls' time to have the court and stuff.
Right.
Remember Cy Major and that Czech
Oh,
coach and all
yeah,
that
oh,
group?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
of course they're playing the ball, and they don't want
They don't want to
give.
give up the
So,
time, right?
But she knows that if they give her a hard time, I was there in night con, but
Right.
they didn't have to wait for that. When she had to raise her voice, she knew that was it. She wasn't playing. It was a girls' time.
Oh,
This is
that's
it.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you know Fred's wife, Joy, but I got to say this, that she is a joy. And if you don't think so, I want you to dial his phone number someday and just listen, because she has, during this year, she has 4 different voices that she uses to sing songs, but it's very lifting of your spirits when she talks to you. But I suggest you all try it once, and I think you'll enjoy what you hear. So I tried to get him to get a copy here, but
Well, she has people that'll call the house. They're calling for me, and they'll hang up if I answer because they don't want to talk to me. They want to hear her. They want to hear her on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
They want to hear her message.
She's very good at what
Yeah,
she does.
yeah,
She really is. What are some of your funniest moments? I'm sure you've had a lot of hilarious moments. Some you can talk about, some you can't. But tell us the one you can talk
Well,
about.
I told you the one or two that are there. Of course, I told you one about the commissioner calling and that one. But
Right.
we, you know, coming up with a large family living on Chapman Ave.
Right.
You know, we getting our kids stuff like everybody else did.
Oh, yeah.
And we go back in the sandbanks and smoke. You know, steal your father's cigarettes and you try smoking and stuff like that.
Wow.
Because you got to remember now, at that time there, behind Booker T and all the way down as far as the creek,
Yeah.
where the guy there, that was all sandbanks in the back there,
Right.
except for Warden Ave.
Yep.
And so you'd go up there and, you know, that was all wild land off forest
Oh, yeah.
land. And so we'd have huts and stuff out there.
So that's where you're puffing cigarettes on, huh?
No, I learned quick.
Oh.
It wasn't for me. But one thing I did pick up one bad habit when I was on the police department.
What's that?
The guys that go in, because I wasn't really into alcohol or anything, you know.
Right.
And so I go in, and of course back then, you know, it was nothing there to give the guy a shot or something like that. That's what it was back then.
Oh, yeah.
And of course I wouldn't smoke. They said, well, we got to give you something. So they ended up giving me cigars. So
Cigars?
Yeah, so I ended up smoking cigars. I've
I
given
think-
them up now, but I end
I
up.
think I've seen
end
you a
up
few
smoking.
times
Yeah,
with
I used
cigars.
to smoke cigars.
Yeah.
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 But,
Didn't you forgot to mention, but you also refereed football. We
Yeah.
had Dick Williams on here last week, and
Yes.
he was a referee.
Yeah.
Not last week, but a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago.
In
And,
fact, he and Larry Ellison are the ones that got me into it.
oh, yeah?
I was a member of the Syracuse chapter certified football officials.
Oh, okay.
And I did high school games and the Pop Warner games. I couldn't do any games in Auburn.
Right,
So
because
I
you were
did,
from Auburn.
Yeah, from Auburn. They didn't usually hook you up.
Right.
But I did a lot of Syracuse games, and I did some county games here.
You
In
enjoy
fact,
that?
it was nice. It was
Yeah.
a little different.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I remember the one Cato game. And the only reason I remember it because the other official didn't show up.
Right,
So I was going to actually call a game. You know, you can't
right.
really do a good game with one official.
It's pretty hard.
So the two coaches got together and said, no, we want to play it. I said, look, I can't really officiate. They said, no. I said, all right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give it a try. But I get some real bad complaints, I'm calling it. This one kid started to mouth off. The coach came out of there and grabbed this kid and pulled him right off the field. and we got through the game. I guess after that, we got through the game good. No complaints. No
That's
nothing.
great. That's great. Yeah. Oh, very good. I'm talking with Fred Chuckles Richardson, and Chuckles, I was curious. Did you ever go to college, or were you thinking of going to college, or
I was thinking, that was just about it, thinking.
just?
I did have a college offer to go for track to go down in Rider College down
Oh,
in
right.
New Jersey.
Oh, great.
But I was not an academic person. I was hands.
Welcome to the
I
club.
was a hands-on. I was a working person. My brothers and sisters, they went to college and stuff. I just was not a college person.
Chuckles, I hate to admit this, but my grandkids will tell you this. They all laugh at me, but I confessed to them that I once got a 14 in algebra, and I'm kind of proud of it because I hated algebra. I absolutely hated it.
Well, that's one piece of math, geometry.
Mhm.
That was the only. It's the only subject in math that I actually got a higher mark than my brother Jerry.
Is that right?
And boy, was he ticked at me because I got a higher mark than him.
He's not the brother. You
He
got a
passed-
brother
he
that
passed
passed.
couple-
Oh,
yeah,
Jerry did too.
yeah, he
Oh,
passed
okay.
too,
I
yeah.
got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passed. There's only 4 of us left.
Only 4 of you. Wow.
Yeah.
5 of you passed on. Wow. Okay. Let me ask you this: what do you like best about Auburn? It can be more than one thing, but is there anything that strikes you that you really like about the community?
Yeah, I like the community because I think it's a great place to raise children like we did raise 2.
Mm-hmm.
People, for the most part, are friendly.
All right.
You know, no matter where you're at, what you're going to do, you're going to get somebody that's going to act up and do things they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So you got a lot of nice people. And in fact, I knew a lot of nice people, and I think might have helped, and we worked well together.
Yep. Oh, great. Anything else? Or
No, that's about it.
Okay. I know you played a lot of city league sports, Chuckles, softball, basketball, stuff like that. Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, we played softball at the old Y field.
Oh, good.
And
Near and dear to my heart.
Booker T, we had a good team. Of course, we had Cy Major, Chet Copes, Steve Pelton, you know,
Big
that
Daddy.
type of goes.
Big Daddy, right?
Les Robinson played with us one
Oh,
time.
He's a
Yeah,
terrific
good day.
athlete himself,
Yeah.
isn't he? He
So
really is.
we had some good teams, and then moving on to basketball, the same thing in basketball. We had again,
Right.
you know, Cy Major, Chet, Johnny Copes, Wesley Richardson. You know, Chet was a little younger,
Right.
but
You were showing me some photos that you had from the City League there, and BTW won an awful lot of city titles.
championships, yes, we
Yeah,
had
they
some
did an awful lot.
championships,
Yeah,
yeah.
They really did. Bear with me. Time out. Right. If you could change anything in our community, Chuckles, what would be the one or two things you'd think you'd like to change if it's possible?
well,
Tough question. But
yeah, it is a tough question. I think as far as the economy is concerned, it's actually as far as workplaces are lower than what they were when we were coming up. You know, at that time, you remember you had GE, you had Columbian Rope, you had Alcoa.
Yep.
You know, you look at, none of them are there anymore. We don't really have any real large
Yep.
employers like that anymore. And when you take a bite out of a community like that,
It's a big one.
it hurts you.
Yep.
But other than that, like I say, in the most parts, it's a friendly community. Most people get together, get along well together for the most part. And no matter where you are or what you do, in any community, you're going to have some problems.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it.
But as far as this community as overall, that's why we stayed here.
Right. Yep. I save a lot of stuff. As you look around, you can see I save a lot of stuff. But the Chamber of Commerce back in the 1950s put out a pamphlet, and I've always saved this, but back then we had 40 industries here in our community. And if you got done with one job or fired from a job or lost a job, you'd had 39 more you could go and try and find a job. But today I would say we're considerably less than 40, though, without a doubt.
Well, in addition to that, if you take and remember, the small neighborhood stores that we had when we
Every
were growing
corner,
up.
every
I mean,
corner.
in my area alone, we had 3 stores.
Right
we had
there.
Phil Lines on Fitch Ave. You had Koopy Convoy on Fitch Ave, right across the street from each other. And
Don't
then you go
mention
down,
that word to me, Chuckles.
Then-
I'll tell you afterwards.
Then you go down to Parker Street,
Right.
and you had Seneca's.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you go a little farther, you want to go down to West Genesee Street, you had Paulino's.
Right.
So, you know, right
You
in
had it all
a
right
small
there.
area, you know, you had 4 little corner stores, just say, independent family stores.
This is off the path, but you mentioned Koopy Convoy, and I used to play softball for Koopy,
Yeah.
but my father, remember, I told you he had your mail
Yeah.
route, and he used to walk there. He also had Koopy where he dropped in the mail. Well, this was a cold winter's day. Now, I was maybe 7 years old, 6 years old. But you ever see that kid in the movie The Christmas Story where he stuck his tongue on the
Yeah, on the
pole? I did that to his front doorknob. Koopy had to go out and get a tea kettle and pour the hot water on to get my tongue off of there. So, I'm sorry, folks, but I did it.
Yeah. But it's people, if you really look at it, it's people like that that had stores like that. People didn't have the money to get something.
Right.
You'd go to them, they'd put it on the book for you.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
You know, and you'd pay it when you got paid the next week.
Yep.
But you'd think that would be done today?
Yep, you're absolutely
you know,
right.
people cared about a lot more
One another.
about each other than they do now.
You're absolutely right. That's a big thing. It enabled us to continue on
Yes.
because in a lot of cases you wouldn't have been able to
Yeah.
if you didn't have that. So
But even with that, if you take a look back, some of that stuff they instilled in us.
oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
You know, it's,
Yep. Chuck, as you received a lot of honors over the years, and is there some that you would like to share with us? Some of the major ones?
well, I'm proud of my Auburn Athletic Hall of Fame award.
You should be.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
think there's a lot of people out there that deserve it, but I'm thankful for that.
I think you were the first brothers to be in there too, weren't you?
No,
Because Bert was in there too, wasn't he?
Bert was too. Of course, Buddy Hardman Buddy Hardman was in the first group,
Right,
along with Bud Holland,
right,
and Bert was in the second group,
right.
and I was 3. I was in
Okay.
the third group.
But I'm saying
And,
that you're one of the few brother acts that we have in the Hall of
Well,
Fame that I know.
you got 3 of us in there.
Oh, 3 of you. Who was
Howie.
the third? Oh, Howie. I
Yeah,
forgot
Howie, you got
about Howie.
3.
Yeah,
no,
I
you
forgot all
got,
about
you got
Howie.
3 of us in there.
Now, Howie had an illustrious career at Boston College.
yes, he did.
Yeah,
Very
as a
good
running
career.
back.
Yeah.
He's a terrific
Yeah.
guy. He's
Yeah.
in where, Atlanta now?
Yeah, he's just outside Atlanta.
Outside
Yeah,
Atlanta.
he just retired. He was working at a college down there at the financial aid department.
He's a
So,
tremendous
yeah,
athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really was.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, we used to have a lot of competition. You know, when you have a family, you got a lot of different boys in it.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
the different age groups, but who was the fastest, who was this, or who did that. And of course, we couldn't compete with Bert because he was too much bigger than us. You
Well,
know,
he-
I was 140 pounds at the highest one at that
Yeah.
time. And what was he, 180 maybe, 170?
Probably.
In high school, so.
As big as he was, you know, I consider him big. I think he's only 6'2", if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But he was the center on our
Right.
basketball team. And today, I mean, if you're not 6'8" or 6'9",
You're
they
not.
just laugh at you.
Right.
You know, so it's amazing. So.
But you know, and I've had some good ones I'm proud of. I'm proud of the career I had in Department of Corrections. I won the Diversity Award out of the Syracuse Onondaga Chapter for Diversity.
Wonderful.
I got the Love Award from Finger Lakes Catholic Charities.
Terrific.
Them ones. And,
Well deserved.
In the NACP Hall of Fame, and there's a bunch of them that I don't put one in front of the other,
Right.
but I'm proud of them. Then I was proud I was on the Cuba Bank Board of Directors. That was amazing to me.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't have like
bank
most
unit.
people that sit on board banks are,
It's from your
they're
paper
just
route.
not for me.
It's from your paper route when you and Bert were
Is that what
sharing it.
That's what it was. Yeah, and some of the boards that I was on, I was proud to sit on. In fact, I'm still on East Hill Family Medical. I've been on there for quite a while.
Wow.
And when I get the most enjoyment out of is Cuba Centers, which was the old Cuba Home for Children.
Right.
AK. Booker T. Community Center. Now, all these boards, I have in the past served as chairman of the board on them.
That's amazing.
And RSVP, I used to run into you when I was on the RSVP board.
Yes, you did.
remember?
Yeah, you tried to oust me. Remember that? You said,
No,
"Let's get him
no,
out of
I-
here."
No, I'd go in there and make sure they always had candy in the dish when we
Well,
come
we
for
got to have
meetings.
candy in the dish
We
for
always
you.
had to have
Absolutely.
candy in the dish.
Yeah, we knew how to get to you.
And the tourism board, I was on that. Those were enjoyable boards.
Right.
So I've served on many boards, and my wife says to me, she says, "When are you going to retire?" I say, "Well, you should be happy. I'm keeping out of your hair."
Tell her you just got started. Tell her. Anything else you'd like to talk about, or
No. No, I've had a good life.
Yeah.
I have a beautiful family, beautiful home, nice people.
Great.
And well, thank you for this opportunity and coming here and chatting with you.
It's been our pleasure. I really enjoyed it. He doesn't speak nearly as much as he wants to, but or as much as I want to, but we appreciate all you've done for your community. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Chuckles, he was a member of 27 different community organizations. He belonged on 16 boards in our community, and he's had several awards that if I took the time to do this, we'd have to have a 4-hour show. And Steve won't let me, so. Chuckles, we thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We
I
really appreciate,
like-
enjoyed having you.
Yeah,
so.
I enjoyed it chatting with you.
Well,
As always, Ormie. And I enjoy talking to your wife.
Well, okay.
We don't have her much anymore because she's not at the store anymore.
Well, she misses it
yeah,
greatly.
yeah,
Yeah, she really does. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Chuckles, once again for being
Yeah.
here. We appreciate it.
My
so.
pleasure.
Was it okay time-wise, or think you're?
Excellent.
You sure?
What we'll do now, though, just get Ormie, and then we'll just do, turn from Chuckles to the camera, and then say, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Talkin Sports.
Who am I thanking now?
Yeah, the audience for watching. Tuners. Yeah.
That's what you called them the first time.
To all you tuners out there.
So,
That's what he told me, Chuckles. I do what I'm told.
So, look at Chuckles, then just turn to the camera and say,
Sign off.
Thank you for watching.
You had to get me going with this, didn't
Thank
you?
you for
I'm not going to do
watching,
any
and we'll see you
retakes. I'm
next
telling you right
time,
now.
and we'll
Whatever
see
you
next
get.
time on Talkin Sports. Okay, ready?
No.
We're still
No.
rolling.
Because I can't stop laughing. No.
Okay, just relax and compose yourself.
I'm gonna have my coffee. Chuckles, we thank you once again for coming on the program. We really enjoyed it. And to all you folks out there, we appreciate you tuning in and listening to us. And we hope you watch us again. Have a good day. And remember now, love life, cheat death, and laugh often. It's very important.
You're supposed to mention Talkin Sports.
I didn't say Talkin Sports
No.
in there? Can't you put Talkin Sports?
I was going to kick him, but
Yeah, I know.
Oh my
Look,
God.
Chuckles.
I told you I had a mental block with us.
Start start again.
I mean, that was good.
That was really good. We can use it. We
Can I
got
just say
that.
Talkin Sports and then you can enter?
Well, wow, miracle worker. Okay, start at Chuckles again. Let's just try to do one more, but that was real good.
Armie, three takes.
Chuckles, you can give him one.
Three takes.
Love life, pay the taxi. What was it? Love.
That's
Pay
a
the taxi cab, what?
no.
Don't get me going. Do not do this.
Not covet thy neighbor? What was that? Unless she's really.
Go with what we got, please.
Okay.
I don't want to do that again.
Okay, we'll go with what we got. Very good.
I'm gonna go home and rehearse for the rest of the day.
Oh my God. That's a good one. That was a good one.
No, I don't know if it was a good one or not.
Talking sports.
Just put Talkin Sports in there, that's all.
I was gonna say the name.
No, because then we go.
Time out.
Okay.
That's it. Yep. Time for coffee for me. You sure I can't get you
No,
pop or
no,
water or
no,
nothing?
no.
No?
You know what we could do?
Is it going all right, guys, or is it?